Nobody has yet given 9. And with 9 wickets down, 8 had been given, so had the last man gone, leg before wicket, then it would have been a world record. As it was, Luke Proctor came in and bowled Chris Wright, and that was, unfortunately, from at least a record-breaking point of view, the end of that. 22 without loss then. Umpire Taylor waves at the scores, makes sure everything is ready to go, and it's going to be Chris Wright who's going to continue his spell from the Bennett end. That is down the slight slope here at the Fisher County ground. The experienced seamer, Essex, Warwickshire, among his former counties. There'll be an update for BBC Radio Leicester at 10:30 or just about thereafter. So you'll hear me break into news speak in a few moments' time. In comes Wright down the slope and bowls to Rob Newton outside off stump. Good lift, taken a roundabout shoulder high by Harry Swindoll, the wicketkeeper, behind the stumps, of course. Here comes the update. We've had just one ball bowled here this morning at a sun-drenched Grace Road. The Foxes, as you say, all to do. They've got to take 10 wickets with just 119 runs to play with. The pitch is playing well. It's unlikely, but they can really put up a good show this morning, try and pick up a few wickets and take a little bit of confidence into their next game. Northants have added 2 to their overnight score. They've moved on to 24 without loss. Newton just pushing forward to that second delivery from Wright, slightly angled back, pushed it behind point, and third man, Cosgrove, had to run around to his right to pick the ball up. Newton able to pick up 2. He moves on to 14, 24 without loss. Wright down the slope, comes in and bowls. Forward goes Newton, half forward, just getting to the ball, to the pitch of the ball, dropping it out into the offside. Rhodes comes running in from point, and there is no run. David Sales, Northamptonshire's lead batting coach, underneath sort of David Ripley, so to speak, has come out to watch from behind the bowler's arm, or as close to it as he possibly can. In comes Wright, bowls outside off stump, a little bit of outswing. Newton lets it go through. I may have to phone up BBC Radio Leicester to tell them I'm still getting the feed, and could they please switch it off. Just the 2 slips for Newton. Hi, it's Richard. I'm still getting the feed. Back with you online. Hopefully, yeah, the feed is gone, so we're sorted now. In comes Wright to bowl to Rob Newton. Newton is forward again, pushing into the gap, into the covers this time. Will Davis scampers across from wide mid-off, but Newton picks up 1 nice, calm single. Just don't want to make any mistakes in Northamptonshire. Don't want to lose a couple of early wickets and a little bit of momentum. Switches to Leicestershire, so to speak, but the pitch is playing pretty well. Was built to last, this pitch. It was interesting to hear Alex Winter's interview with David Ripley yesterday. He was making the point about the importance of these pitches towards the end of the season and the toss rule, and that maybe it was time to look again at the toss rule, because ground staff are being asked to provide better pitches toward. They have been asked by the ECB, instructed really, to provide better pitches if possible. Round the wicket comes Wright and bowls to the left-handed Curran, who is back on his toes, defending, pushing the ball out into the covers. In comes Alex Evans, making his debut for Leicestershire in this game. Will get a bowl before too long. Hopefully he impressed. He was the pick of the Leicestershire bowlers in many respects in the first innings, picked up 3 wickets, was a little bit carried away with himself in his first couple of overs, overpitched a few times, came charging in. Understandable. He's only 19, but his second and in particular his third spells were hugely impressive. His third spell really did drag things back for the Foxes, and he is certainly one of the positives for Leicestershire, at least, to take out of this game. positives for Northamptonshire. Everywhere you look, really. Been a really solid performance. The only negative, if that's the right word, that Ripley could find talking to Alex yesterday was the fact that they'd gone from 304 for 4 to 357 all out in their first innings. He said that was when we needed to be ruthless. Had we been, he felt they could have had this game done and dusted last night. But hopefully, from their point of view, it will only delay matters. Will Davis is in the attack from the pavilion end, bowls down the leg side, a real shocking delivery, and Newton just steps inside and watches with detached interest as the ball spears off down the leg side, and nice piece of cleaning up by Swindells. Could easily have gone through for 4 byes there, but he managed to get across and clear things up, so rather got away with that one. Will Davis, 4 wickets for him in the first innings, his best return for Leicestershire. He runs away from me and bowls, and slightly short, pulled firmly by Newton, but he's picked out the man on the deep square boundary, so it is only going to be just the single. Hassan Azad is out there. Decent throw from young Azad. Single taken. Newton moves on to 15. Scoring the run, beg your pardon, on to 16. He's scoring the runs for Northamptonshire this morning. Began on 12. He's got all 4 of the runs that have been scored. Davis is going to go round the wicket to Ben Curran, and he's brought in a shortish mid-wicket, who is, I think, Dexter. Lots of chatter out there, led by Cosgrove, inevitably perhaps trying to keep the spirits of his side high, stop them going through the motions, which they may feel they are a little bit. Round the wicket goes Davis and bowls, and back to a slightly short of a length delivery goes Curran, defends solidly out into the offside, then jogs towards short leg, just kicking his heels up, just get his feet moving, his legs moving. But again, no obvious terrors at all in the pitch. If anything, it looks better than it has throughout the game. It's looked pretty good throughout the game, but having been cleaned up a little bit overnight, it almost looks unmarked. In goes Davis and bowls outside off stump and allowed to go through by Ben Curran. Just stepped forward, no great movement for Will Davis. Overhead conditions perfect for batting, really. Pitch looks very good. The ball isn't really swinging, only 6.4 overs old, of course, but no great swing. It's all been about the overheads in this game, which is what the Northants players are saying as well. In those respects, they've had the best of the conditions. In goes Davis and bowls, and it rather dies on its way through. Allowed to go through outside off stump by Curran. It rather dies into the gloves of Harry Swindells. In that conditions when Leicestershire have batted, days 1 and 3 have been cloudy for the most part, and the floodlights have been on. Days 2 and 4, no necessity for the floodlights because it's been sunny, and those are the days Northamptonshire by and large have batted. But unquestionably have played the better cricket in this match. They look, as Ripley said, a very good side. In goes Davis and bowls outside off stump, and again Curran a half step forward, leaves the bat raised, then remarks his guard and wanders down the wicket to have a chat to Rob Newton because it's the end of the over. 2 have been bowled, 26 without loss. Northamptonshire just 115 more runs to win. They'll be keeping an eye on what is going on at Bristol, where Gloucestershire have lost another wicket already this morning. They're 200 for 7. They lead Sussex by just 30 runs with 3 wickets remaining, so it looks absolutely nailed on that Sussex are going to win that game. In goes Wright and bowls full, and his appeal for leg before, but no, Swindells is absolutely convinced. It did just dip in a little bit, and it was a decent shout, and a lot of leg befores have been given, but Billy Taylor wasn't prepared to give that one. Well, height certainly wasn't an issue. It was almost Yorker length. It deceived Rob Newton might just have dipped in at the last moment. He rehearses a back foot sort of drive, push to a full ball. Might just have got an inside edge on it. Survives. In goes right, bowls again to Newton, who's forward. Outside off stump, pushing it into the gap in the covers. Davis has to run away to his left from wide mid-off. Gets to the ball, but Rob Newton picks up a single, moves on to 17-27 without loss. 114 more runs needed today. A few Northamptonshire fans are in the ground to see what they hope will be a reasonably straightforward procession to victory. I can see down below me not many Leicestershire supporters, got to be said, one or two in the meet, but understandably not anticipating too much cricket today. In goes right, around the wicket, and again bounces for a second time before it reaches Swindells, who turns his head away because he's not sure what the bounce is going to do, and it thumps into the arms above the gauntlets as he falls to his left. He manages to stop it though. He might have a bruise as a consequence. Beautiful sunny day here at the Fisher County Ground. There is a slight breeze, and it is slightly cooler with that breeze. In goes right and bowls outside off stump. Nice shot from Ben Curran off the back foot. He steered it through the covers. It's a long chase out towards the extra cover boundary for Alex Evans. Curran should pick up 3. Those are his first runs of the morning. Comfortably make 3 in the end. He moves on to 13. Northamptonshire on to 30. Now without loss, 111 runs needed. It all looks very straightforward for the visitors out there, which is just how Ripley and his coaches and the players will like it. The pitch playing pretty well. Graham has arrived alongside me. He's just beginning to sort himself out, and I've just realised that I haven't put up an extra set of headphones because Alex likes to bring his own, so out they come. I do have another set, but in goes right and bowls outside off stump, and little feel for that one, Rob Newton. Good delivery from Chris Wright, a little bit of swing, perhaps for the first time, arguably for Chris Wright this morning, goes through into the gloves of Swindells. So Newton, a couple of close calls in this over so far for him. He remains 17, Curran 13, 30 without loss. Shortish mid-wicket in for Newton as well. Against Wright as he comes down the slope past umpire Taylor. Bowls and Newton goes back a little uncertainly, plays it firmly back down the pitch on the onside. Evans scrambles across to his left to make the stop. End of the over, testing one from Wright, particularly for Newton, but no breakthrough for the Foxes. Northants continue to make steady progress towards that target of 141. They're 30 now without loss. Davis will continue from the pavilion end. Plenty of shirt sleeves down below us. If you're out of the breeze, absolutely glorious conditions to watch a little bit of first-class cricket, especially when your team is as comfortable as Northamptonshire are. Good morning, Graham McKenzie.
Good morning, Richard. Sorry I'm a little late.
No problem. The M1 can be a bit of a nightmare on a Friday, can't it?
It can, and I have to say, much as I love Leicester, the traffic in Leicester as well, once I hit it, wasn't the best.
I kept hearing on the traffic news there were a few hold-up points. Round the wicket goes Davis and bowls. Forward goes Curran, just defends out into the offside. Picked up at point by Hassan Azad. Foolish delivery, a little bit of shape, but no real dangers for Curran. Northants in outstanding shape here this morning.
Well, I hope so. I much as I like coming to Grace Road, I was thinking it might have been over last night, but I have to say the amount Alex Winter goes on about the lunches here, I was quite pleased to be able to come. But yeah, obviously...
What's he ordered for you, do you know?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Okay, well,
no.
you see, it could be. Hopefully it will be something nice. I'm sure it will be. In goes Davis, bowls to Curran, slightly shorter of a length, and Curran turns his wrists on that defensive shot, drops it back down the pitch. It's a little bit more uncertain than previously, but he keeps it out. 30 without loss remains a score.
So, serene progress so far, Richard, and that's from a Northamptonshire perspective. Obviously, what I've come to see, I'd like this to be done with as little fuss as necessary, really.
Pitch has been the key in the overheads. The pitch is playing extremely well, looks very benign. One or two have kept low. Leicestershire, I think, were hoping that would become more exaggerated as the game went on, and certainly into the fourth day as Davis goes in to Curran, who is forward to a full-ish delivery on off stump, defending very solidly out into the on side, picked up by Wright at mid-on, and again no run. But it's almost got better throughout the game, and with the sun on it now, it looks pretty flat.
Well, I heard David Ripley talking about the conditions overhead as well, and that's obviously my first day here, but they've all been saying, the Northamptonshire players and coaches, that's been the key, really, that the difference in the blue skies have made a massive difference.
They have, and in that respect, it's worked out nicely for the visitors. In goes Davis, bowls, back foot defensive shot, just pushed through backward point by Curran, angled back. He looked slightly surprised then when he realised where it was going, down towards wide third man, and he jogs a couple, moves on to 15-32 without loss. And the umpires have had the floodlights on days 1 and 3, when it's been slightly cloudy and Leicestershire have been batting, and it's swung around quite spectacularly sometimes. They're great exponents of the art, Brett Hutton and Ben Sanderson in particular, but they did make the ball talk, and it's been sunny on days 2 and 4 when Leicestershire have been batting, so when Northamptonshire have been batting, I beg your pardon, and the ball hasn't moved so much. In goes Davis and bowls to Curran, turns his wrists on one, on the back foot out towards Dexter at short mid-wicket, and there's no run. But they have looked a really, really good side, a really solid side.
Good.
Everybody knows their roles. The two Yorkshiremen bowling at the top, outstanding stuff from both Hutton and Sanderson. Berger's come in and offered them a little bit different. Bracewell, who looked as though he needed a gallop in the first innings, was much quicker and better in the second, so he's brought something to the side as well. And Proctor gives you what he always gives you, a little bit of sort of skiddy, enthusiastic, busy, quicker than it looks seam. In goes Davis and bowls down the leg side, and that's going to run away off the thigh pad, I suspect. And umpire Pollard has his right arm raised in anticipation. He raises his right knee to it. It's picked up at long leg and returned to Swindall's leg by. The first extra of the innings is taken, 33 without loss. Curran 15, Newton 17.
So did they make hard work of it yesterday, Richard? Northamptonshire, I was, as I said, I was obsessively watching it, trying to work out if I'd be here today, thinking it might have been over yesterday. Did they make hard work?
No, I thought they bowled really, really well. Inevitably, there was going to be one or two stands, a partnership of 51 for the 7th wicket between Parkinson and Ackerman, but they kept nagging away. The ball didn't move quite as much once it got sort of past, as it never does really, 45, sort of 50 overs old, but they kept it accurate. They made Leicester, they never gave Leicestershire a spare run, really. In goes Wright, bowls on off stump and defended by Curran. Not too much foot movement on off stump, but just drops it out into the offside. They did a really, really good job. They knew the forecast was good. They didn't. I think David Ripley would have liked to have it won in 3 days, and I think that was their only area of weakness, if you like. Wasn't really a weakness in that they went from 304 for 4 to 357 all out, and he said First Division teams would bury you at that point. They would have sort of got 450 instead of 350. In goes Wright and bowls down the leg side, pulled around the corner by Curran. Not sure he got too much on that. It's running down towards fine leg, but it went so slowly that I suspect it might have been a bit of thigh pad. Inside edge onto pad, it looks like, because no signal from umpire Billy Taylor. Curran picks up a couple of runs, moves on to 17. But when that's your only criticism, then that's not too bad, really, is it?
No, indeed.
I think it will be done by lunchtime, if not before.
Well, they're not hanging around, are they, Northamptonshire, from what I've seen in the 10 minutes I've been here so far? Which, well, sensible, isn't it? It's a vast outfield here at Grace Road as well, isn't it? It always strikes me when I come.
Right in, bowls Curran. Little bit of a flat-footed pull, but a pull nonetheless. Middled it beautifully out through mid-wicket for 4. An illustration there of just how good the pitch is. And a lot of certainty about that shot. We just have to get used to Curran's sort of lack of foot movement. But the bat went through the line unerringly. And no chance at all for wide mid-on to get across. And cut that one off. And again, an illustration of just how good the pitch has become. Curran into the 20s now, on to 21, 39 without loss. Just 102 needed. Few Northamptonshire supporters have come, members certainly, to see what looks almost certain to be victory, as Wright back over the wicket to Curran outside off stump and allowed to go through by Ben Curran.
Well, it's not far to come, is it, after all? Just
They've-
up the
they've-
M1?
There's been a good presence throughout the
Good.
game here. Fewer today, obviously, but throughout the first 3 days, a good presence.
Free entry today, isn't it? As I
Believe
arrived,
so.
the gate
I
man
believe so,
waved me through as I brandished my BBC badge. He said, "No need today."
Well, you don't have to pay anyway, but but would have let you in anyway.
Even from Northampton, they let us in at Leicester.
Yeah, a couple of hours of first-class cricket. There aren't many days left in the season. Should you be in the vicinity and fancy watching, in goes right and bowls to Curran outside off stump. Half a step forward from the young left-hander, allows it to go through to Harry Swindoll's behind the stumps.
So is this a typical Grace Road track, would you say?
Not necessarily. They do tend to be pretty good on the whole. Not too much pace in them. I think what they've been trying to do over the last few years is get more pace into them, and you can see the sort of slight lack of bounce, really. It can be a little bit discouraging. Ian O'Brien, who used to play for Leicestershire, in goes right and bowls, and a fuller delivery, driven but without any real aggressive intent by Ben Curran, steered rather than driven, if you like, out towards mid-off, and that's the end of the over. He always used to call them the Grace Road Donkeys because they were such hard work for seam bowlers. I think they're a little bit better than that. There's never any turn really or anything like that. A little bit like Northampton used to be briefly post Swan and Panesar, etc. But they're trying to get more pace into them. They've relayed a couple, though that's quite an expensive business. Apparently it costs about 14,000 per track to relay, to dig them out and get the right soil in and stuff like that. But those two that have been relayed are noticeably quicker, so that may be a way forward. But by and large, they've been reasonably blameless throughout the season. So 39 without loss. 10 overs have been bowled. Over rate is okay at the moment. It isn't going to be a factor today. And Graham, have a spot of commentary.
Oh, that's very kind, thank you.
That's
I was
right.
quite happy. I was more than happy just sitting back. 39 without loss. It's Newton on strike and just pushes one to points, just back of length outside the off stump. So obviously a disappointing year for Leicestershire. Richard, you're looking rather glum about it.
Unfortunately, it started well with victory at Sussex in our first game down at Hove, but nothing thereafter. We were sitting in a promotion place in the T20 Northern Group with 3 games to go.
Davis into bowl, Will Davis, and it's just defended again out to points by Newton for no run.
But without an overseas player, no money at all. For an overseas player in the T20, just lacked that sort of X factor, and in the end just fell away at the end. So that I think they did extraordinarily well to be involved and as competitive in that competition as they actually were. But the championship form, again, they haven't been particularly lucky. There've been a couple of games that have lost time to the weather that they would almost certainly have gone on and won.
Davis to Newton, who again, same routine this time, a bit straighter and a bit fuller from Davis, defended and no run this time to mid-off. But
you can't defend it, you can't disguise the fact that it has been a disappointing season, ultimately, in the end. 1 or 2 players haven't performed quite to their abilities as one would have hoped. The senior guys on whom so much depended this season haven't quite done the business.
There's always a lot of parallels, aren't there, between Northamptonshire and Leicestershire with cricket, as Newton this time, well, saying again, it's good tidy stuff this from Davis, no run, just defended. And similar size budgets, aren't they, similar size clubs. But Northamptonshire have really made the best of their resources this year in 4-day cricket.
They have, no question about that. They've had a little bit more money, haven't they, to bring in 1 or 2 experienced overseas players, like bringing Bracewell for the last 3 games, a New Zealand international, and he's made a little bit of a difference. Not too much.
No.
Yet.
This time, yes, 39 without loss. As this time it's a little bit straighter again from Davis, just pushed to short. What would you say? That's short mid-wicket, almost silly mid-on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a position captains seem to like. They always seem to think that batsmen are going to chip the ball in the air, but I can't remember ever seeing a catch there, to be honest. But it's almost just for something to do.
We don't move him now, because the second you do...
No, he'll probably... The next
pop
ball
straight
will
up,
straight there.
Last ball of this over from Davis, his 6th, 39 without loss. Looking to complete the maiden. And Newton does just that. Defended nicely and very tidy indeed from Davis.
Do you have updates to do?
I do. I have one at...
So I will take over from here, so you can go and get yourself set up next door, where you can see the ISDN line on that blue cable. So all you need to do is plug your box in, and all should be well. And then we'll see you after 11 once you've sorted out. Gloucestershire have lost another wicket against Sussex, so they're 208 for 8. They lead by just 38 with 2 wickets remaining, so almost done and dusted at Bristol. Sussex going to win that one, which is, I think, pretty good news as far as Northamptonshire are concerned. Every result essentially has worked out very nicely for Northamptonshire, especially their own. Down the slope comes Chris Wright and bowls fullish to Curran, but straight-ish as well, off stump, and wasn't quite at the pitch of the ball. Leant forward, pushed it firmly out to mid-off, and there's no run. Out to Alex Evans at mid-off. 2 slips. Paul Horton and Colin Ackerman chatting away to Harry Swindles. They are the only close catchers, though. That short mid-wicket has gone back out now. He's out at deep backwards square, Hassan Azad. Otherwise a fairly conventional field as Wright down the slope bowls to Curran outside off stump, and he went for a late cut, but it wasn't a convincing shot from Ben Curran. He missed, it went through to Swindles, but it was all rather hurried and jabby from Curran. He got away with it though, and a little bit more encouragement for Chris Wright. First division scores. Essex 288 for 8. Trail Warwickshire by 229 runs with 2 wickets remaining. It looks very much like that is going to be a draw. Should be. In goes Wright and bowls outside off stump. Not sure where that one's gone. Curran, he was looking to force off the back foot, got a thick inside edge. It trickled out towards square leg. He looked round to the right, having looked to the left at first, and saw that Azad was coming in to pick the ball up, but there was a comfortable single to be had as well. Took it. 40 without loss, almost below 100 the target now, 101 more runs needed. Newton down on strike now, 17 not out. Waiting with the bat raised as Wright comes down the slope. Very straight run, quite a long one for the tall seamer. Bowls and played in the air for a foot or two by Newton, who indicates that that one just sat up a little bit to him. Short of a length, he was on the back foot looking to play the ball into the onside, and as I say, he was in the air for 3 or 4 feet as it went towards short mid-wicket, which we were just talking about. Just may have stopped a fraction. Right, this is the 6th over. He'll have bowled 3 this morning, of course. 4 this morning, I beg your pardon now. Once he's finished it, forward goes Newton to a delivery outside off stump. Thick outside edge, but he was in control. It was an angle bat and knew what he was doing, I suspect. Down to 3rd man it goes. He jogs a single. He moves on to 18, 41 without loss. Began 22 without loss. No real problems. There was a decent shout for leg before from Wright against Newton. And Curran played and missed at a couple, but essentially no real issues for these 2 Northants openers. Wright in to finish his over, bowls to Curran, who waits deep in his crease and defends a delivery. Off middle and leg, out off middle stump, out into the offside, where it's fielded by Azad. End of the over. The helmet, I believe, is being brought. Helmets are being brought out, so Leicestershire going to make some changes now. Might as well. Nothing much to lose. Will Davis is being taken off. He has bowled 6 overs, as has Chris Wright. Neither have been particularly threatening And Callum Parkinson, the left arm spinner, is going to have a bowl from the pavilion end. As I say, not too much to lose. The Foxes see if they can find a little bit of turn in the wicket. I suspect not. There hasn't been too much throughout the game. Parkinson taking his time to set the field. He's got one slip. He's going to have a short leg, Azad. Otherwise, he's looking out. He's got a deep square and cover on the offside. In he goes and bowls on the money to Newton, who leans forward, just pushes the ball back down to the young left armer, Lancastrian, Callum Parkinson. Keen Bolton Wanderers supporter. In he goes and bowls, and driven this time out into the offside. Work to do for Davis, running away from deep point out towards deep extra cover. He puts in a decent throw. Back to the bowler, who takes it on the bounce, but the sprinting Curran has made his ground, so 2 to Rob Newton. Less than 100 now for Northamptonshire. Newton 20. Curran 22, 43 without loss. Parkinson jogs in and bowls, gives it lots of air, and looking to drive, gets a thick inside edge on that one. And it squirts out into the leg side rather than the offside. Along the ground, picked up by Cosgrove at mid-wicket. Parkinson in again, full toss, and driven out into the offside. Again, Davis has to run away to deep extra cover, but he gets to the ball slightly more quickly this time, and means that there will just be a single for Rob Newton. He moves on to 21, 44 without loss. Update coming for BBC Radio Leicester, so must be just after 11 o'clock. He's got the left-hander to bowl at now, Parkinson, so he should have some footholds, although, as I say, they're not particularly marked. In goes Parkinson, bowls, and forward carefully goes Curran, defending onto the onside. No run. 44 without loss remains the score. Parkinson ready to go, but umpire Pollard put out his right arm just to stop him. Well, something wasn't quite right. He's ready now. In goes Parkinson. Bowls really put some revs on that one, but no turn, and forward went Curran, defending, getting to the pitch of the ball, back down the pitch to Parkinson. Pretty good over from Parkinson. Gave the ball some air, but no obvious turn for him. 3 runs from it, 44 without loss, after 13 overs. Here comes the update. Yeah, they continue to do that because Northants haven't lost a wicket this morning. They began on 22 without loss, needing 141 to beat the Foxes. Well, they've doubled that score. They've gone on to 44 without loss. Ben Curran has 22. Rob Newton has 21. Conditions very much in the favour of the batsman. Bright sunshine here at Grace Road. The ball isn't swinging. Hard work for the Foxes. Northants 44 without loss. One delivery from Chris Wright, who continues from the Bennett end. Stayed a fraction low. He was playing on the back foot there, Rob Newton, and he was a little bit late coming down on that, jamming it out to backward point, and there's no run. You can get in touch if you wish. My Twitter feed is at Rich M. Ray, R-A-E. In goes Wright and bowls outside off stump, steered to a backward point, and a little bit of a mistake from George Rhodes, and it went through him, and only a few feet through him, but seeing that, the Northamptonshire batsmen pick up a single. That was very much a bonus. Leicestershire haven't covered themselves in glory in their fielding in this game either. Rhodes has been one of the better fielders on his debut, but he just seemed to lose that one. He thought it was coming to him slightly more quickly than it actually did. Got an odd little bounce or two, and it went through his hands for a few feet. 45 without loss, 96 to win. Curran now matches Newton, 22 apiece. Brings the left-hander Curran down on strike. Azad runs across from mid-wicket into the covers. And Wright is down the slope. Bowling to Newton, outside off stump, grunt of effort. Little bit of shape back in, but from quite wide, and Curran lets it go through, and there's no run. Beautiful late summer stroke early autumn morning at the Fisher County ground. Leicestershire trying to remain enthusiastic, but it's hard going for the Foxes on a pretty flat track. In goes Wright, bowling to Curran. A little bit of extra lift from Wright. He's quite a tall man, Curran. A good leave. Lifted his bat over the line of the ball, stayed on the back foot, bounced through at waist height to Harry Swindles. No danger at threatening the stumps. 45 without loss, the score. Wright walks back, shoulders a little slumped, but he always looks a little, not disconsolate, but downhearted as he walks back to his mark. It's just his manner as much as anything. I'm sure it's not the way he's feeling. In down the slope he comes and bowls to Curran, who again leaves outside off stump. Lets it go through to Swindles. A little bit of in-swing, a little bit of shape, but only a very small amount. Alex Evans is starting to warm up, so I suspect, unless he picks up a wicket with this last ball of the over, that might be Wright's work done, potentially, for the day. One feels 45 without loss. Curran 22, Newton 22, 96. More will do it for Northamptonshire. In goes Wright and bowls outside off stump, and again that odd little late cut attempt by Ben Curran. It goes underneath his bat, I think. It's not a convincing shot from the young left-hander, and perhaps one he should take out of his armoury for the time being. He's got away with it again, however. It went through low to Swindles. End of the over, 45 without loss is the score. And Graham's back alongside.
Yeah, I am indeed, yeah. Sorry to have left you like that.
It's okay.
The body language isn't great from Leicestershire at the moment, is it? If you,
I think they know their fate.
There's
we'll
not
put
a
it
lot
that way.
belief.
There's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah. Parkinson. I don't know much about Parkinson. Looked a tidy first over, wasn't it? Bowls quite a decent pace, isn't he, for a left-arm spinner? And he's into bowl to Newton, who hits him through the covers. They'll probably take two here, maybe three. No, just two, as the fielder in the deep sweeps around and to keep them to the 2. 47 without loss.
Well, he's the twin brother of Matt, the leg spinner of Lancashire.
Yeah.
Boltonians, and he's a very fine young cricketer, very promising young cricketer. Hasn't had a great season with the red ball. He's been a stalwart of the T20 side. 94 now required. Newton's still on strike and just defends this for no run. Hasn't had a great season because he hasn't played too much, to be quite honest. I think this is just to have check. I think it's just his third game in the county championship. It is. So,
bowling round the wickets to Newton, who just again drives defensively with no run. Wickets
haven't been judged to have been in his favour, so to speak, but I think a lot of Leicestershire supporters would have liked to have seen him play more. He played a lot more last season with some success.
47 without loss. Hit again a little more expansively, but straight to cover, and no run for Newton.
I think the captain, Paul Horton, another Lancastrian, has felt that Colin Ackerman's off-spin is a sufficient spinning option. I don't think it's necessarily proved to be the case, and Parkinson's quite a useful bat as well.
And he's just moved short leg over to silly mid-off, I think you'd say that position, or short cover. And it's Newton still facing. Hits it hard through the covers, and they'll just take the one this time to the sweep in the deep.
I think he suffered really because of the batting in some respects. He's wanted an extra top-line batsman, Horton. And Parkinson has partly missed out because of that, but you know, the batting has been relatively average this season in terms of the amounts of runs scored, so he might as well have been playing in a way. He'd have scored as much runs as some of the specialist batsmen, so-called.
Complete his over now. 48 without lots of reverse sweep from Curran, and it's gone away for 4. You don't often see that in Championship cricket, but he's onto it in a flash, and it's flown down to point boundary for 4.
It's as clean a shot as he's hit, to be quite honest. Ben Curran absolutely middled that one. Tossed it up outside off stump, it's true, Parkinson, looking for those footholds, but played it like he's still playing T20, Ben Curran. I don't know if he was a member of the T20 setup too often.
Not too often,
no.
Made a couple of appearances this year.
But that was a super shot.
It was. It flew away, didn't it?
If you like that sort of thing.
Well, I like
purists might object.
I like it if it means Northamptonshire getting closest to victory, which they are now. 89 required with 10 wickets in hand.
It's looking eminently comfortable, isn't it, for them? Well, right, actually, is going to continue, so it shows what I know. One more over, at least, for Leicestershire's main man. Down the slope he comes. Bowls to Newton, and getting a short ball, pulling it, but getting it a bit towards the top of the bat. Still got plenty of it. Parkinson runs around from long leg, and Newton picks up a couple. He moves on to 27, 54 without loss. Main man in the absence of Mohammad Abbas, who's now back home in Pakistan, preparing for his next tranche of international cricket. Wright has played every game, and he's done a good job. He's done the sort of job you'd hope for an experienced seamer, brought in on a 3-year contract. This is his first year. In he comes, bowls to Newton, who's forward on off stump, half forward, offering the bat rather than hitting through the line of the ball, pushing it out towards Evans, who's at mid-off, and there's no run.
It is absolutely glorious out there, isn't it? What a lovely
Perfect.
September day. There is, it sounds a bit cliche, isn't it? But there is a little bit of sadness in the air, isn't there, at this time of year from a cricket perspective? You can feel the autumn coming, can't you?
You can. One or two of the trees just starting to turn yellow on Milligan Road, and one or two leaves around. It's still pretty green there. In goes Wright, bowls, Newton forward, defending out to Evans again, who's at a wide-ish mid-off position. The outfields, because of the amount of rain they've had, have stayed very, very green, and the square in particular.
Looks perfect.
Emerald almost, isn't it?
Thoughts turning to, the two grounds behind us, aren't they? Welford Road and...
You can see them both, yep. Leicester City play Manchester United tomorrow, I think.
Do they?
Yes, indeed.
Cobblers playing Newport County, slightly less glamorous.
In goes Wright, and bowls to Newton. Stays a touch low, he goes back, plays it firmly down the wicket on the onside, but good work by Davis, tumbling away to his left from mid-on. Makes sure that there are no runs to be had. I always wonder why Northamptonshire County Cricket Club don't sort of have the steel backs from the T20, but they're not kind of referred to as the steel backs or the cobblers as such, really. Are they just Northants, really?
They are. Well, I suppose Cobblers and Saints are such well-established nicknames for those two clubs.
In goes Wright and bowls. It's a decent shout for leg before, but it was delayed from Wright. The Swindles, the wicketkeeper, went up straight away, as did the slips, but Wright, I think his appeal responded to them. Didn't do quite enough, didn't come back from leg stump quite enough to convince Billy Taylor. 8 leg before wicket decisions yesterday, matching the world record.
I thought that was an appeal as much to stave off the boredom as anything else, didn't it? There was very half-hearted. The bowler knew straight away it wasn't out. It
was significantly delayed on the part of Chris Wright, wasn't it? Who's getting a pat on the back from Paul Horton, which I think probably means that we'll leave it at that.
Have a blow.
We'll leave it at that. We'll give somebody else a go.
How long's Paul Horton been here now?
This is Horton's third
full
season, and at the start of this season, he was pretty much in line to take over the captaincy of the second team, really, but...
Is he miscounted here? So what's going on out there?
What's that?
Is there another ball left in the air?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? He's got the word, umpire Taylor, from the scorers. And Chris Wright, we'd actually got to the stage where the field had completely changed, hadn't it? And Wright was almost back down at third man or wherever he was going to go. He's got a long walk back.
And the short leg had his helmet on. He was running in. One ball to go.
Well, that gives us something to tease Billy Taylor about at lunchtime. Only got 5 fingers on one hand.
It's very complicated. I'm awful at counting to 6 on the rare occasion I have to umpire.
In comes Wright from the Bennett end and bowls, and back foot defensive push from Newton to a delivery just outside off stump, pushing it out to mid-on, and there is no run, and Billy Taylor can now, or can again hand right his cap and sunglasses, and I think that will be that for Chris Wright. 8 overs, none for 27 for him, 54 without loss, 26 to Ben Curran, 27 to Rob Newton, and it's all been relatively bloodless this morning here at the Fisher County ground. Nice and easy does it as far as Northamptonshire are concerned. But every chance of promotion now. 23 points from this game will go into they'll go into second, and as David Ripley says, their fate will be in their hands.
Well, with Durham and Gloucestershire to play, it's fascinating, isn't it? Great chance, what an opportunity. 54 without loss, though. Curran on strike, and that is a big shout as Curran, well, just looked to turn it down leg, did it straight enough. He's bowling well over the wicket, isn't he, the left armour?
He is. He's got the foothold, so it should turn back into the left-hander. May have just done a bit too much, who knows?
Maybe, yeah. He was shaping to play it down leg, wasn't he?
He was.
Curran on 26.
Oh.
Full toss this time, which he's put away through extra cover for 4. Well, after a very good start to the over from Parkinson, that was a loopy full toss, I'm afraid.
Yeah, a bit of a gift from young Callum. Mops his brow. That Durham game is a huge one. Durham having beaten Middlesex at Lords yesterday.
Yeah, low scoring game that one, wasn't it?
It was. They got across the line.
I reckon, yeah, I was thinking 1 win, or 2 wins out of the last 3 would probably be enough.
I'd agree.
Probably enough, isn't it? It's so tight.
I'd agree.
Curran on 30 now, 58 without loss. Sweeps down the leg side, and they'll pick up just a single, taking the score on to 59, 82 required. I've always quite liked the nickname Steelbacks, going back to the nickname of the 3 sides. Do you know the origins? It's
I'm assuming it's the regiment, isn't it? The Northamptonshire regiment.
It's a long-standing.
Their nickname is that.
From having been flogged so much, so the story goes. Newton on strike, the right-hander defends, and there's no run. I think it goes back to the Crimean War. Andrew Rad will tell you. It's Rad, my colleague, who came up with it. But it's been the nickname of Northampton. Did
he? I hope he's got some sort of copyright or something.
He's made him a multi-millionaire. Newton down the pitch this time, but then just pushes defensively, and there's no run. It's the Foxes obviously here, isn't it?
Absolutely, and indeed the football club are also known as the Foxes. It's in the Leicestershire badge, of course. It's the Leicestershire County badge.
Newton this time just flicks it as the ball goes down leg, but there's no run. And the Tigers again. Is that tied to the regiments?
I don't know. As far as I'm aware, the Tigers been in the badge for as long as I can remember. I'm not a Leicester man, so somebody else will be able to tell me if that's not the case. But as I recall, that the Tiger has been in the badge for many a year. So
I think originally, going right back to the 19th century, I think they may have played in amber and black at some stage. But
see, that's my football club, Hull City, you see.
Ah, really? Also
amber and black, and that's where we got our nickname from.
Well, it makes more sense in a way, doesn't it? But well, it's a great rivalry. It's one of my favourite sporting rivalries, the Saints and the Tigers in the rugby, and it's not quite the same in the cricket, and it's certainly not there in the football, just because they hardly ever played. Peterborough United really is the game for the Cobblers.
Well, Chris Wright is going to continue from the Bennett end. Bowls to the left-handed Curran, who waits for the ball in his crease. No foot movement again, but defends out towards mid-off. And there's no run. 59 without loss, just 82 more needed. I think we'll actually get done before lunch here.
You think?
In terms of timing, yeah, absolutely. 12:30, remember, lunch. How many overs to go until then? Well, at least another 20. Won't be far off. In goes Wright, bowls. Curran outside off stump. A little late on that one. Might just have swung back in as he looked to punch it away through the offside, and thick inside edge sees the ball bounce down into the ground and just trickle out into the offside. No run.
I think you're right. It should be done, shouldn't it? 82 off.
I'm guessing that the umpires just might keep them out there as well. If there's just a couple of runs needed,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. Right. Down the slope. Bowls. And again, deep in his crease, Curran defends on the back foot to a ball that swings back in from off towards middle.
So what's your link with Hull? Is that your... That's where you're
Birth,
from?
yeah, no, I'm from East Yorkshire, yes,
Right.
originally. So Boothbury Park was my first ground I was taken to.
So are you
Back
Kingston Rovers or FC?
I'm from East Yorkshire, so I should be Kingston Rovers, but because FC more connected to the ground, I've tended to follow them. But I like to see them both win, really.
So there is
the rugby league clubs.
a reason you support one or the other.
Yeah. It's East Hull and West Hull. In goes right and bowls to Curran, who turns it wristily off leg stump. It did swing back in a touch, but Curran reading it nicely. Oh, and Swindles and Newton collide as he collects the throw. Swindles apologises. 60 without loss. 32 to Ben Curran, 27 to Rob Newton. Evans continues to warm up. I don't know whether he's had the word or whether it's hopeful. He deserves a decent spell there after his bowling in the first innings. Right. 2 balls to go in his 9th over. Down the slope to the right-handed Newton, who plays firmly off the back foot. Ooh, right, as bowlers often do
That's
now.
brilliant, isn't it?
Flicked it with his left hand back onto the stumps without looking. And Curran, you have to be aware these days, he was reaching back, did have his bat back down just in time. Neat work by Wright.
It was quite brilliant, really, wasn't it?
They're good at it, yeah. They're rather good at it. A lot of bowlers do it these days now.
And in an instant, isn't it? All in one movement.
Flicked it back.
I don't know if she practices that.
One assumes that they must do it in the net somehow. Right in again to Newton, who is pushing through the covers. He's going to pick up at least 2. Azad is chasing back, puts in the slide and tumble, flicks it back, and does a relay work by Alex Evans, who pursued him to that short side of the ground, relatively short side of the ground, the pitch being cut to the meat side. And they save a couple of runs between them, but 2 goes on to Newton's score. He goes on to 29 now. The scoreboard has already ticked over. The score 62 now without loss, almost halfway there.
It can't be easy to motivate yourself at the moment if you're a Leicestershire cricketer out there. I suppose. You mentioned Parkinson once. He just needs some bowling, does he? Out there?
He does, yeah. He bowled really without confidence in the first innings in particular. I think 9 overs for 60 something without. And he just looked like he needed a bowl. And hopefully he'll get a few this innings.
He continues from the pavilion ends. That's right, isn't it? This is the pavilion end? Yes. The Bennett end?
Bennett end.
Yeah.
Referring to the car park for the most part. And that's the Turner Indoor Centre, the Mike Turner Indoor Centre, the indoor school there.
62 without loss. Curran on 32. Quite happy to defend another very full delivery from Parkinson, who gets through his overs at a pretty good rate. Short run up, isn't it? Well,
it is.
5-6 strides. Curran 32. 79 needed over the wicket. Defended once more, and there's no run.
We were talking, Alex and I, about how Curran could really use a nice unbeaten 60, something like that, really. He hasn't really established himself in this side. And it would do his confidence a lot of good going into the Durham game.
It would, indeed. 62 without loss. And again, defended for no run. Just waiting, perhaps, for the loose delivery. We've seen a few from Parkinson, haven't we? No need whatsoever to take any chances if you're a Northamptonshire batsman. 79 still needed. A little bit short of that one, and Curran turns it through mid-wicket and just jogs through for a straightforward single.
I was just thinking there that if Parker could just bowl an over like that, don't try and do anything too different, just try and hit that mark. But then he tried to put that one in a little bit faster and flatter. He's got that sort of temperament that he's always trying something, and sometimes you think you just need a little bit more patience and be happy with a maiden.
Newton on strike, the right-handed Newton pushes to the covers for no run. Does he play much one-day cricket? That's the over. That's
Yeah,
63
he does, but it's a different. Such a different discipline for a left-arm spinner when he often does have to sort of fire it in and bowl flat, and he is the key wicket taker in T20 in many respects, Callum Parkinson, and has been over the last 2 seasons for the Foxes. He's a real weapon, and he does pick up wickets in that, but this is a different sort of thing, and sometimes it's fine to bowl at just a maiden, okay if the batsman pats everyone back, and that's okay.
So he tends to look to attack, does he?
Exactly that, yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Well, here's your change of bowling.
Too much.
You called it an over too soon.
Two overs too soon, really. I just wanted to see Evans get some bowling, really. This is his debut for Leicestershire.
All the money in the world, like all the body language, isn't it? The slap on the back, the quiet word from the captain.
I think Wright is such a senior figure in the side, although this is his first full season. He's obviously such an experienced man, a championship-winning bowler with Warwickshire, that Horton might have said to him, do you want another, rather than you're not getting another. And he wanted to try and pick up a wicket. But Evans on debut, just 19, from Bedford. So might have been in the Northants purview at some stage. He's going to come down the slope from the Bennett end. Round the wicket he bowls to Ben Curran and bowls down the leg side and turned down to fine leg for 4. And just got that one a little bit wrong, Alex Evans, but yeah, a nice little leg glance from Ben Curran. Tucked it away, fine of long leg, and picks up 4. Moves on to 37, 67 without loss. Yeah, Amped Hill is his club, which is also Alex Wakely's club, interestingly. So, and he got Wakely out in the first innings.
Did he?
Which gives him something to probably tease him about next time he sees him at the Amped Hill clubhouse.
Is he a Bedford schoolboy as well?
He's now at Loughborough University. In he goes and bowls to Curran, who goes for the drive, and no, I thought he'd edged that one, but it just maybe moved away a fraction, maybe just seemed away. Looked to deviate, didn't, was taken by Harry Swindell's puff of dust as he hit the ball, as he hit the bat into the ground there, almost jarred the bat into the ground, Curran. Looked like it deviated.
It did, yeah. It seemed to go a long way off the pitch, didn't it? Yeah.
Good bowling by Evans. So which school he went to, I'm not sure. Bedford School would be a fair bet, wouldn't it?
Well, it's produced a few, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wakely,
it has.
Alistair Cook. Quite a few rugby players as well recently.
Down the slope he comes, bowls down the leg side again and turned down towards long leg, but Cosgrove this time scrambles away to his right and gets there, and it's just a single on that occasion to Curran, 38 to him, 68 without loss. Yes, I forgot Alistair Cook was Sir Alistair.
Indeed. Well, there's quite a big crossover with Saints. Again, going back to the rugby club, there's I think there's 3 or 4 of them at the moment, Bedford schoolboys, and Alistair Cook is often seen down at Franklin's Gardens. He's definitely a Saints supporter.
Right.
He's one of ours. As is Ian Bell. You see a few of the cricketers down at Saints. Very wisely choosing to come to Saints.
Over the wicket, Evans bowls, and it's a decent shout for leg before he's got his man. He's got a wicket through. He looked to be a slightly slower delivery, almost held it back, but an indication from Newton that there was a little bit of seam movement there. Thought about it for a while, Billy Teller, because although he was standing up tall there, Newton, he'd actually shuffled down the pitch a bit. It was quite a long way down, but he's gone leg before wicket, and young Evans has a wicket in his first over, his 4th of the game, and Northamptonshire halfway, just about, to their target of 141, are now 68 for 1.
I think you're right, he took the pace off it a little, didn't he?
Looked to be a slightly slower ball, didn't it? But the indication from Newton with his right hand was that it just seemed back in. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that before too long.
It was a bit of a mixed bag this over, wasn't it? Straying down leg stumps a couple of times, but also a couple of there's that one that seemed to leave Curran just before he snared Newton.
It's what you get with a youngster, isn't it? Especially a young pace bowler. Consistency is unlikely, but he obviously has a knack of picking up wickets. The young man.
Well, I can tell you, he went to Bedford Modern School.
There we go.
So there's
that's not the...
There's the 2 big rival schools in the public schools. There's Bedford and Bedford Modern. So he would absolutely not want to be thought of as a Bedford schoolboy. That would be sacrilegious for him. But he's bowling very nicely, isn't he? I think he is one that's got away for Northampton, playing in enemy territory in Leicestershire rather than Northamptonshire.
The Loughborough connection might help, obviously,
Yeah.
as a promising athlete going to Loughborough MCCU.
He'll see the light.
He played 2 first-class games at the start of the season for Loughborough against Leicestershire, the traditional sort of warm-up game, and then played against Kent down at Canterbury. And he's played for the Leicestershire second team most of this season, but now getting his debut and justifying that confidence being shown in him. Down the slope he comes to his clubmate Alex Wakely, who's forward, and just defending a delivery off stump out towards point, and there's no run. Looked in super touch in the first innings, Alex Wakely. Then he flicked at one down the leg side from Evans and edged one. It's one of those strangles, as cricketers call them. It sometimes happens once or twice a season, so he was a little bit unfortunate, Wakely, in the first innings.
He's a good batsman to watch, isn't he, when he gets going, Alex Wakely? Elegant batsman.
Yeah, it looks as though dropping the captaincy as Evans comes in and bowls to him, and he gets a foolish delivery on middle and off that bounces through mid-off. They're thinking about a single. They're going to take one. That was poor work, sloppy work for the second time this morning, in fact, because Rhodes conceded an unnecessary single, and now Wright has done exactly the same. And it went straight to him at a very gentle pace. He was very lazy in forming the long barrier. It just bounced through the hands for another few feet, and nothing worse from the bowler's point of view or the captain. 69 for 1. Wakely is off the mark with that. It just looks messy and sloppy and
well, it does.
awful,
It
really.
makes it look like a team that knows it's going down here, doesn't it? But yeah, I think you're absolutely right with Alex Wakely. The captaincy being lifted off his shoulders. He is a different man. And the thing is about Wakers is that he is always he radiates positivity and good cheer. And it was starting to affect him. And he said this himself. He did a long interview with us when he gave the captaincy up. Said it was affecting all aspects of his life, away from cricket as well, as Parkinson bowls to Wakely. And he'll take one. In fact, he'll get more than one. That'll be 4. That's beaten the fielder at mid-off. Again, I think it was a bit of a tame effort from mid-off. Who is
Paul Horton.
Paul Horton, yeah. He was a bit slow in getting down to that, and it's beaten him and gone away for 4, taking the score on to 73 for 1. And they're past halfway now. They need 68 to win. Wakely on to 5, and that's not really what Parkinson needs either, is it?
No, indeed. Update coming for BBC Radio Leicester on the half hour.
Ball makes its slow way back to the bowler.
Leicestershire have picked up a wicket. Rob Newton went leg before wicket to young Alex Evans, who's really impressed on his debut. He's been one of the few positives for the Foxes in this game. He pinned Newton leg before wicket for 29, 68 for 1 at that stage, Northamptonshire. They need 141 to win. They've moved on to 73 for 1. Alex Wakely has 5, Ben Curran has 38. They're doing this comfortably, but at least a little bit of positive news for the Foxes. With you online.
Wakely down the pitch on the third ball of this over, and will take a single out to the sweeper on the cover boundary. Yeah, he's such a positive man, Alex Wakely, that he said when he was going home it was affecting his family life. He was not sleeping properly, and he loves captaining Northamptonshire. He loves the county. It's really quite endearing how much he enjoys playing and representing Northamptonshire. So it was affecting him in all the wrong ways, and he's done the job. He did the job for a long time, and he's now smiling and playing cricket really well again as Curran defends this short leg field as no run, which is brilliant to see, because he is, as I say, one of the most attractive batsmen to watch, and he's been in form in the 2020 as well. 74 for 1 here. Wakely on 6. Curran 38. Reverse sweep again. He's beaten the outside edge. I'm not quite sure what the appeal was for there. But Curran going for that reverse sweep once more, which brought him 4 runs in the last time he tried it. Not sure what the appeal was for there from Swindles.
No, whether he got a little edge as it went through to Swindles, or whether it flicked the pad and it was a shout for leg before.
It was
Either way,
a lone cry, wasn't it? It's beaten the outside edge again. A little bit of bounce there.
Out of the foot, a puff of dust, wasn't there, as it went into the footholes there. So there is something there for Parkinson.
I think he's getting some turn, isn't he, Parkinson? That's the over, 74 for 1. Oh, that was, well, a decent over, I thought, from Parkinson. I know he was unfortunate, I felt, with the first ball going for the boundary, but apart from that, pretty tidy.
Well, I think he's an outstanding prospect as a cricketer, and it's been a really difficult season for him, and maybe hasn't been treated quite as well as he could have been by Leicestershire. I'm just looking at last season. He played 12 county championship matches, bowled in 19 innings, only picked up 10 wickets, and in that, but he always looked to carry a threat, and I'd like to see him have played a little bit more often this season. Alex Evans down the slope to bowl to Alex Wakely. He's forward to a fullish delivery, a nice straight delivery from Evans, who puts his hand down, half stops it in his follow through, then tosses it to Davis to do a little bit of polishing. He's about 6'2", 6'1", 6'2". Alex Evans had a chat to him after that the first innings bowling. First over, when he conceded 3 fours, wasn't quite how he dreamt it was going to be, but thereafter really did a super job for the side. In he comes, bowls to Wakely, who gets a fullish delivery that he clips away off middle and leg. It's a long chase for Davis out towards the long on boundary. Should drag it back just in time. He does, but Wakely, who timed that very sweetly, just stroked it away. Picks up 3. He moves on to 9, 77 for 1. Just another 64 more runs now needed for Northamptonshire.
I think Wakely will pick the pace up as well. If he stays in there, I think it will be done by lunch.
Well, Leicestershire aren't going to put the field back or anything like that. They know there's no point. They'll probably keep attacking. So there will be runs to be had, and the outfield here is so quick that once it gets past the infield, it nearly always gets to the boundary or close to it, even up the slope towards the Bennett end. Evans goes round the wicket to Ben Curran. Bowls. Curran gets a delivery that just swings down towards leg stump, and he turns his wrists on it calmly down. The ball goes to Mark Cosgrove, who's at fine leg.
How big is this outfield then, relative to other
It's
counties?
supposed to be the second biggest in first-class cricket, with Melbourne supposed to be the biggest. But I've never actually seen the actual figures for it. There's been when Wasim Khan was chief executive over the sort of previous 3 years, as Evans comes in and bowls to Wakely, who's driving beautifully for 4. Overpitched from Evans, just waited for it, and beautiful piece of time. Didn't try and hit it too hard, punched it away very straight on the onside, and no chance at all for Davis. It fairly scooted away for 4 in front of the Turner indoor centre. So Wakely looks in prime touch, as he did in the first innings, in going to 13.
Shot of the morning, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was some talk of bringing in the buildings and the stand to roughly where the boundary is now on that side of the ground, and building a new sort of office sort of area and restaurant and sort of stand, and maybe even a museum as well on that side of the ground, as Evans is into Wakely. Gets a better length delivery. He's half forward, slightly angled back, goes out towards point, and there's no run. But that's obviously quite an investment required.
So much room, and the potential to build here is enormous.
They also have planning permission for building on the car park, that side of the car park, and there was a long-standing plan for building a sort of sports centre, and the Leicester Riders basketball team were going to be based there, and all sorts of things like that, but they're now based at the arena on the other side of the city. Evans in, bowls, and going for the drive without quite getting to the pitch of the ball. There, Wakely showing a little bit too much confidence perhaps. He got plenty of it, but hit it straight to mid-off on the bounce, stopped by right end of the over. But that's sort of now not going to happen, but it may be that they'll need at some stage to generate some sort of capital sum. Who knows? But certainly they're looking forward to getting the money from the 100. But that's a whole different political ball game.
If you mention that anywhere near Andrew Rudd at work, his steam will very quickly come out of his ears.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not alone in that, is he?
No, indeed, because I mean, Northamptonshire are part of the London setup, aren't they? Which is extraordinary, really.
I can't wait to be heading down the M1 to cheer on the what are they called? London Pride.
Pride, is it? Like the beer?
I think is it the London? I think it might be the London Pride. Yeah, Northamptonshire Pride.
Yes.
Anyway, Curran on strike, 82 for 159 required, and no run.
You can imagine how happy Leicestershire supporters are at the prospect of going to Trent Bridge to watch the Trent Rockets, or whatever they're called. Well, there won't be many Leicestershire supporters there.
No, I suspect not. But then it's that they don't seem to want them there anyway, do they?
No, exactly.
82 for 1, defended by Curran, and there's no run. And you'd think, I suppose there's no appetite there, is there? For, if there was any geographical sense, you'd put the East Midlands together, wouldn't you? In Northamptonshire and Leicestershire, but there is no sense. 82 for 1, Curran on 39, and just pushes that straight back to the bowler for no run.
Well, Northants-Leicester derby in Nottinghamshire would have been the logical thing, but.
Well, the chairman came in on our cricket show and pretty vociferously defended the decision, as it's reverse sweep in the air, but short of the man back on the point boundary. So Curran brings out his reverse sweep again, but just picks up a single this time. 40.
Well, 1.25 million per season for the next 4 seasons is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had the chairman who came yesterday. He was talking to our chairman about, I don't know, developments of some kind.
Wakely on strike. He's on 13, and just gets a thick outside edge. It'll run down to the boundary for 4. Am I being unkind to say that was an edge? I mean, it was defensively played, wasn't it? He was in control, but it seemed to be a... Well, I'm not quite sure he quite ran that one down.
I think it was a little bit more edgy than he would have liked it to have been, but he was sort of just trying to dab it through there, wasn't he? But second slip might have been interested there.
Well, Wakely's raced along to 17, and as I say, if he's here, I mean, it'll be done well before lunch.
Potentially, just another 54 now needed for Northamptonshire.
Parkinson to complete his over. Hasn't bowled badly, but he's gone for a few. As Wakely defends, and there's no run.
He wants the left-hander, doesn't he, to bowl out, really?
He does,
so
absolutely.
Footholds.
Yeah, that's the over. So he's gone for 26 off his 6 overs. Wakely's on 17, Curran 40, and Northamptonshire need another 54 runs to win.
Yeah, 0 for 66 in the first innings for Callum. But he's obviously, in this game, the fact that he bowled 15 overs and took 0 for 66, I think instructions have gone out to the captain, make sure he gets plenty of bowling. Let's give him a chance to get into some sort of rhythm. I think there's been a bit of that approach from Leicestershire in terms of making sure everybody, or those that need to, or those that are perceived to need to bowl or bat, have done that.
So a change of bowling then.
Davis coming back on for Evans, who's just bowled the 2 overs, taken a wicket. Maybe he's going to have a go. He hasn't bowled from this pavilion end yet, Evans, so I just wonder whether he might be coming on for Parkinson. Davis around the wicket to Curran, down the leg side. Curran actually literally lifts his hands and almost in a shrug as that one goes down the leg side, makes sure there's nothing near the ball for Curran, but Swindells dives to his right, tidies up. Saves 4 byes. I hope that's the reason why Evans has been...
He's bowled quite well, isn't he, Evans?
Just to have a go up the slope.
So is there much of a slope here then?
Yeah, there doesn't look to be, but there is actually. More than you realise. In goes Davis and bowls outside off stump, raises his bat again. Curran lets it go through and there's no run. I was lucky enough to play in a charity game a season or so ago and bowl from this end. And first delivery, I didn't think I was going to get there to the green. It just seemed to be getting ever up there. It is marked.
Yeah.
Ben Reynolds used to bowl a lot of overs up the slope, often into the wind as well. Said people don't realise that it is very different. I don't think it's not massive. It's not sort of pronounced like Lord's, you sometimes feel, but it is there. In goes Davis, bowls. That's a better, straighter delivery onto off stump. Curran leans forward, defends out to point, and there's no run. Doesn't want to get out, Ben Curran.
No, he's batting well, isn't he?
Needs the runs, just to convince at the top of the order.
Yeah, he's not batting with the freedom that Wakely is, or even
No.
well, Newton before him. He's more in his shell, isn't he? But sensible batting.
Yeah, Newton and Wakely assured of their positions. Curran less so. Davis turns. A chest-on run comes in and bowls, and thick outside part of the bat as Curran defends that one. It goes backward of point, and for a second he thinks there might be a run in it, but having taken a couple of steps, you heard him shout no as Dexter moved to his right at point and made the stop. 87 for 1, 54 still needed. So the run rate is decent, as it was in the first innings for Northamptonshire. 3.7, 3.8 sort of area. Davis turns, 7th over. Might be just a one-off. Down the slope he comes and bowls. Edged, caught! He has got his man, Davis, and just a slightly flat-footed push at the ball from Ben Curran, and he'll be really disappointed. He rehearses the shot, but we've spoken a lot about that slightly pronounced lack of foot movement from the young opener, and there was there. Bat was away from the body. Size, thick outside edge, taken low by Ackerman, who's the best catcher in the Leicestershire side. Low at second slip, and Leicestershire picked up a second wicket. 87 for 2.
You're right, disappointing end, wasn't it? Having worked so hard, it was a nothing shot, nothing right. It was a decent delivery, wasn't it?
The technique was wrong there, wasn't it?
It was,
from Curran, and this is what will concern, I think, David Ripley and David Sales and Curran himself, of course.
Which I presume will bring Rob Keogh to the crease. Did he come in at 4 in the first?
He did,
innings?
yeah.
Which again, I think, along with Wakely, these are the two who are, well, the real stroke makers in the middle of the Northamptonshire innings. And Keogh obviously in such good form as well. Do you enjoy watching? Well, I suppose
it was a super innings.
Yeah.
It was you have to admire it objectively. He was very positive, and it was interesting to talk to him afterwards and saying, how much more he's enjoying his cricket this season, and obviously having missed a lot of last season with injury, and how Sales had and Richard Levy actually also had picked up something in the pre-season nets, and he was playing a lot straighter as a consequence, and getting the results. So that was his second big century of the season. Just disappointed to get out when he did, just before the close. 132, I think it was.
Well, and those wickets, there's 3, wasn't it, at the end of the first day?
It was, yeah, and his was the last of the 3, so...
And of the second day, sorry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But again, I think David Ripley was using that as another example of just a slight lack of ruthlessness.
Exactly that, yeah.
Gone on to score, well, how many did they get in the end?
357.
So that, they were 450 was really what they were talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they should see this game out. 87 for 2, 54 still needed. But if these two can stick around now, it's always fun watching Keogh and Wakely.
Down the slope comes Davis. Back over the wicket to the right-handed Keogh, who plays firmly, very straight, back down the pitch on the on side. Mid-on gets across to make the stop, Chris Wright, and there's no run.
So what's going to happen now then?
Let's have a look. Well, Parkinson will continue. Yeah. Maybe. I hope Evans doesn't have a problem.
Is he still out there, Evans?
Yeah. He's walking now towards the boundary at deep square.
It seems unduly harsh to have taken him off. He's bowling quite well. Took a wicket, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, there wasn't too much wrong with the way he was bowling. As I said, just hoping he hasn't an issue. But we'll check afterwards. But I suppose Horton could say, having brought on Davis, it was the right decision, because Davis
that's true.
Took a wicket.
He did. Brilliant captaincy. It is Parkinson there to continue from the pavilion end, bowling to the right-handed Alex Wakely. Round the wicket to Wakely. He just comes forward and defends, and there's a man at short cover to field, and there's no run.
5 wickets in the game for Will Davis. His best for Leicestershire.
54 needed as Wakely uses his feet this time. There's pad on that first. It was pad bat.
It
Hence
was.
the appeal. It would be a brave umpire to give that one coming down the pitch when there's that much bat on it as well.
It was a good 8 feet down the pitch by the time.
I think Wakely was overly impressed if that had been given. A very full delivery from Parkinson, which Wakely just defends, and there's no run.
We did have a sort of bat pad decision, leg before decision given yesterday. Neil Dexter ball thumped into the middle of the bat.
Wakely hits down the track and misfield of his own bowling, but he gets away with it.
Wasn't sure. I thought that was a catch for a moment. Somebody shouted catch
I
as
think
well.
it was. Yeah, I think it was drilled in though, wasn't it?
What's this? Is that a signal from umpire Pollard?
I think he's lost count. Wasn't he just raising?
Was he just checking?
I think he
How
was
many?
raising 2 fingers to the square leg umpire. Yeah.
Okay. Parkinson's expression suggests that might just have been a chance.
You're right. Yeah, and he was looking to hit it wider, wasn't he? And
it came off a thick inside part of the bat, lobbed in the air.
Well, in which case it was a fairly poor chance put down in that case. Wakely on 17 defends and there's no run. He's confident, isn't he, Parkinson? I mean, you say he didn't lack confidence.
It's coming. Yeah, you start to see it.
Bit of chat, isn't there?
His body language is quite expressive,
Yeah.
Callum Parkinson's.
Last ball of his 7th over. No wickets for him yet, and Wakely just watches that one go past the outside of the off stump, and that was a good over, tidy over. Maybe he should have been a wicket maiden, and it's 87 for 2.
I have to ask him afterwards. Almost looked as though it should have been a bump ball, but I'm not sure it was. And
well, judging by the body language,
yeah, exactly.
He wasn't happy with himself, was he?
And Wakely sort of was a bit cross with himself as well. He looked at the edge of his bat, looked at the bottom of his bat. If he looks up, Callum Parkinson, I'll see if I can make a signal.
Is he looking? No, he's not looking.
He's deliberately not looking. I think. Oh well, not to worry. 87 for 2, 54 needed. Keogh yet to score on strike as Davis in from the Bennett end bowls to him, nice and straight, played firmly back down into the pitch by Keogh, taken one-handed in his follow through by Will Davis. Threatens to throw the ball at the stumps. A little bit of pressure being exerted at the moment by Leicestershire as Wakely plays himself, well, Wakely's in, but Keogh is just playing himself in.
Yeah, the handbrake's very firmly on, isn't it, at the moment? Some tidy bowling as well.
Looks like we're going to get our lunch, probably now. 40 minutes away. We would have got it anyway, I hasten to add, but with some cricket still to play. I mean, Davis is in, bowling very full and clipped. Nice piece of timing by Keogh, but straight to right at mid-on. And there's no run. They can take 3 or 4 wickets, Leicestershire. They'll feel they've made the scoreboard a little bit more respectable, at least. Take a little bit of encouragement down to Cardiff, where Leicestershire play on starting on Monday. Glamorgan have to win that game now. In goes Davis, bowls outside Austin, little bit of swing for him. Left by Keogh.
Yeah, Leicestershire could do Northamptonshire, well, and the others above them, a bit of a favour, couldn't they?
They could. Just wonder whether that defeat for Glamorgan yesterday makes it very hard for them, doesn't it? It's almost coming down to the top 5 now for those 3 places. Everybody was involved, except Worcestershire and Leicestershire, really, at the start of this round of games. In goes Davis, bowls straight on off stump, and he tries the right trick of flicking the ball back at the stumps, Davis. Doesn't manage to execute quite as well as Wright did. Ball bounces off the back of Wakely's calves to Horton, who's in a silly-ish mid-on position, almost level with the crease at the non-striker's end, so short mid-on, very short straight mid-on.
So who's your money on then? Gloucestershire heading for defeat, aren't they, at Sussex?
Looks that way. In goes Davis, bowls, and Keogh getting in position to drive, may just have straightened at him a touch there, ends up defending it with an angle bat, and there is no run. Out to point it went. 87 for 2 remains the score.
Yeah, so Sussex needs, is it 70? 70, I'm just check. 73 to win.
Yeah,
74 to win.
Gloucestershire all out, so
Yeah.
there was a little bit of a tail wag there. But yeah, 74 should not be beyond Sussex, you wouldn't have thought. Leicester supporters will be hoping Sussex make a mess of it, because they don't want Sussex to be promoted. In goes Davis, bowls, defended by Keogh. Nice straight
why
back,
not?
because Hove is one of the nicest trips
Oh,
of the year. We all love going. We all love going to Hove for 4 days. It's something we all look forward to very much.
There's some strange
4 or 5 days in Brighton.
strange rivalry I don't know about. But
No,
it's all about
absolutely
getting
not.
home.
No,
Fine.
it's just a trip down to the south coast,
Fine.
really.
Yeah. There's none better, is there?
With every respect to Wantage Road and and the Derby ground, and it is nice just to get away sometimes.
No offence taken. So it's yeah, you're right. Glamorgan aren't out of the race at all, are they? But
No, but they probably need to win their last 2.
they probably do.
I think.
Yeah. And it's Parkinson start the over in the air, attacking shot from Wakely. He's going to go all the way for 6. Nearly
Massive.
landed in Richard Ray's hands.
Oh, thought it was coming our way there.
Well, having just said that the handbrake was on and that runs were not coming anywhere, well, Wakely has struck that beautifully over long off for 6.
Good, 25 feet over the high when it went over the ropes.
It's a big hit.
It was huge, wasn't it? It
big
landed
hit.
just below us, thumped into the balcony below us. It might have just shaken up the committee room there.
48 required, 93 for 2. Wakely then hits this down the ground, along the ground this time, for a single Horton Fields in the deep, and brings Rob Keogh back on strike, who is yet to score. 94 for 2. But that was a very fine strike, wasn't it, from Alex
Beautiful,
Wakely?
clean, wasn't it?
A man in form and full of confidence again as well. Keogh on strike, defence, and again it just popped a little, didn't it? Bowling round the wickets and not into the footholds for the right hand Keogh, but the way Keogh reacted, it just got a little bit of bounce there, didn't it?
Plunged forward a little bit at it.
He did go hard at it.
Yeah.
He did.
But having seen that, the helmet is thrown to Hassan Azad, who's going to go in at
Well,
a silly point.
It would have gone
Almost.
straight into his hands, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They'd had him there a ball before. 94 for 2. Keogh pushes it firmly to the covers and is off the mark at long last. 95 for 2, 46 needed.
Azad's Twitter handle is Batpadman. He's got used to it in his time at Loughborough. And,
It's not a position I would like
no.
at all. Especially with Alex Wakely coming down the pitch and hitting it hard. And he has actually just dropped back to short cover. Or short extra cover. As Wakely will just defend though, and there is no run. I think Parkinson's a little unlucky not to have picked up. He didn't get anything in the first innings either, you say?
He didn't, I'm afraid. No,
He looks quite a tidy bowler.
as I say, he is a good bowler.
95 for 2. Wakely on 24. And defends, in fact, thought about it. What would have been a suicidal single is sent back by Newton, and that's the end of the over. 46 runs required.
He just has 2 wickets this season with the red ball, Callum Parkinson. But as I say, this is just his 3rd game, so I must ask him about that.
So
that
how
was
many
a chance off Wakely.
do you think they could delay lunch then? And how many runs?
Depends
do you
how
think
close they
yeah,
are.
How close would they have to
I
be?
think
10.
Depends how hungry Paul Pollard likes his nosh. Billy Taylor.
So I think at the moment
Ditto.
I think the odds are now definitely on us having lunch.
46 to
Half
win.
an hour?
We've got half an hour, so we're going to get 7, maybe. With if the spinner keeps bowling, maybe 8 overs in that time. It's only 5 an over, isn't it? So, yeah, I agree. I might just get it done before then. We'll do all our interviews perhaps after lunch when the players have had their lunch as a consequence. Davis, 8 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 16 for him. Comes in from the Bennett end and bowls very straight to Keogh, who is a little bit squared up by that one. Bat in front of Pad rather than next to it. Reaching across, but defends it very solidly out to mid-off. No run, just a single to him. 24 to Wakely. 95 for 2. Wakely and Horton deep in discussion now. Popular man, Alex Wakely.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Davis, a little stutter at the start of his run, then in he goes and bowls to Keogh again. Bat in front of pad as he defends carefully off middle stump this time, out towards right. And mid-on, no run. A few people have come in, into popular seats alongside the meet. And at the far end, green seats in front of the Turner Indoor Centre. And as I say, that the benches down below occupied by members of both counties.
Some of the Northampton players out there as well, I think, enjoying the sunshine down below.
In goes Davis. Bowls. Keogh flicks away. Didn't quite time it as well as he would have liked, but he's going to pick up a couple. He got it in front of square. Dieter Klein is on at square leg. In fact, he's going to pick up 3. It ran a little bit further than I thought it was going to. It was going across the square for the most part. So 3 to Keogh.
I'm going to have to leave
he moves
you for
on
a second.
to 4.
I'll be back with you very shortly.
Update time. It is almost the top of the hour. 98 for 2. Brings Wakely down on strike to face Davis. Graham goes next door to update to BBC Radio Northampton. Davis in bowls, outside off stump, and beats the outside edge of Wakely's bat. He does bring it back inside the line, but after the ball had gone past the outside edge. So Davis bowling as well as he has in the game at the moment, asking plenty of questions. Keogh and Wakely. Past umpire Taylor. Bowls. Wakely gets one that stays a touch low. Plays it well off the back foot. Comes down on it just in time. Squeezes it. The ball down towards third man very slowly. Cosgrove runs from backward point to get to it. Single taken. Wakely on to 25. 99 for 2. Just 42 more needed to win for Northants. 1 for 20 for Davis from 8.5 overs. So to see who is off at the moment. In goes Davis. Bowls. Thick inside edge as Keogh defends that one. Past Azad. It goes at shortish mid-wicket. Mid-on. Right. Moves to his right and makes the stop. And there's no run. I think it's the captain. I think Horton is off at the moment. Yes, it is. Because that man who was Horton at that short straight mid-on position is now Dexter. So Horton it is who's gone off. Klein goes down too long off, but he's being moved because Keogh is on strike rather than Wakely, so he runs from long off to deep-ish cover. Neil Dexter comes down too long off. Here comes the update for BBC Radio Leicester. And the Foxes have managed to pick up a couple of wickets. Northants only need 141 to win the game, but as I say, they've picked up a couple of wickets. The Foxes, they're keeping them honest. Rob Newton went leg before wicket to Alex Evans, the young man making his debut, the 19-year-old, his 4th wicket in the game. That was for 29, made the score 68 for 1. And a few moments ago, Ben Curran was caught at second slip by Colin Ackerman off the bowling of Will Davis for 40, 87 for 2. Alex Wakely has come in, hit some really nice shots, including a huge 6 off Callum Parkinson. He's gone on to 26. Rob Keogh, who made a century in the first innings, he's 4 not out. Northamptonshire, the visitors, have moved on now to 101 for 2. They need just another 40 to win. Wakely picks up another single there with a drive off Parkinson that's half stopped by Davis, diving to his right at extra cover. Parkinson in to Keogh, who plays it firmly back down the pitch to the left arm spinner. He moves to his right and makes the stop smartly. Makes sure there's no chance of a single. 101 for 2 remains the score. Parkinson in again. Bowls. Forward goes Keogh's, an appeal for leg before. Bat was very close to pad. It was certainly pad, but probably outside the line of off stump. It was a big stride from Wakely. He stays on 26. Not always picking Parkinson, who's in again and bowls to him. He gets to the pitch of that one, defends out into the offside. And there's no run. Not always picking him as in the length of the delivery, is what I mean. I don't think Parkinson can bring one back in as yet. 2 right-handers. In he goes and bowls, and outside off stump. Wakely lets it go through. Does turn just a fraction, but only just a fraction. And into the gloves of Swindles it goes. End of the over. Wakely stays on 26. Still 40 to win. Graham back alongside.
I am. Sorry to have left you. But it's, yeah, just going nicely, isn't it? Still for Northamptonshire. No alarms really for those 2 wickets. And you look at the batting to come as well.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're going to have too many issues getting the score,
no.
really.
Did you think it...
It'd be a funny one, though.
And at the start of the innings, was there any sense that... did you never feel yours...
No, the pitch was too good, really.
Yeah.
The pitch just hadn't deteriorated enough. You kind of know sometimes with a pitch if it's just the odd one cracking through, but it hasn't.
It's Keogh on strike. He's on 5. And Davis bowls and there's no run. They're still attacking, aren't they? And it's the fields that Horton has set. I mean, he's trying things, isn't he? To his credit, he's trying some at the moment with, you've got a very straight silly mid on and a short mid wicket, just the one slip. But it's good to see him trying a few things.
Yeah, just trying to pick up a couple of wickets, really, as I say, and just give the bowling attack a little bit of confidence to take down to Cardiff, where you assume Glamorgan will prepare a result pitch, or will order a result pitch to be prepared.
See how much weather there is around in September as well, as Keogh defends, stays on 5.
Yeah, I think the forecast is okay for next week. That's the point David Ripley was making. He said if we can beat Durham, he said, and then the rains come for the final game. I think it's at Gloucester, isn't it, at Bristol, against Gloucestershire. Said that'll be just fine as far as we're concerned. But as you say, with their fate in their hands, if there is a bit of weather around, then that might suit Northamptonshire fine.
Absolutely, can rain for the rest of the month if they win this one. 101 for 2, still 40 runs required. And Keogh still batting in his shell a little. Although, having said that, he's just hit one very wide through the covers for 4. Lovely shot. It was a poor delivery, wasn't it? It was too full and too wide.
Yeah, half volley was there to be put away, wasn't it?
And he's not struggling, obviously, for form, but if just to get yourself going, that's the sort of delivery you'd welcome very much indeed, that wide half volley.
Indeed. I mean, a nice little knot out here to go with 132 in the first dig. Do the old average, no harm at all. Professional about these things.
Absolutely.
People look at them at the end of the season, don't they?
Well, he's moved on to 9. And Davis in and just back of a length this time, defended, and there's no run. Spent a lot of time in the commentary box with us last year, Rob Keogh, especially during the 2020s. He was injured, well, most of the season, really lost most of the season, which was a real blow to the county. Because he's not just a very good player, he's one of the stalwarts, really, along with Wakely and Newton. These are men who've come right through the county system.
He's a very good fielder as well.
He is.
He's sort of one of the gun fielders, isn't he? And useful off spin.
But they've talked about that, having a core though who've come through the academy, who really care about playing. As Davis bowls, and there's a stifled appeal. I just think they were admiring the delivery behind the stumps. It's defended and there's no runs from mid-wicket. And it's nothing against the players who come in, the more of the journeyman players, but it's so important, isn't it, to have that group who've come through together and are really very passionate about their side. And that's definitely the case for Keogh, Newton and Wakely, who's at the crease at the moment.
Yeah, they look at a very solid side. Everybody seems to know their roles at the moment and fulfil them. That's the main thing.
Keogh faces and just defends, and there's no run. He's still got the shackles on a little bit, isn't he, Keogh? But it's well, no pressure on him.
Doesn't want to give it away.
He doesn't.
Absolutely, and
No.
I don't blame him really.
36 required.
You just wonder whether a real front line spinner might just be an important addition to the squad
For
next
if they got
season in the
into
first
one.
division. Yeah. With respect to Keogh, I'm not sure he's
No.
a regular wicket taking off spinner, sort of off spinning option, so to speak.
Yeah.
5 useful seamers. Well, Bracewell's not going to be around, is he, for next? Well, I don't know. Who knows? But why not have a third spell next season as well? But
Well, the one they'd like to bring back next year, it won't be for the championship, would be Holder.
Parkinson in. Forward goes Wakely, just defending out into the offside. He steered it wide of Davis. He steered it towards cover rather than extra cover, so just jogs a single. That's a possibility, is it, Jason Holder?
Well,
he's so much international.
It depends on his schedule, doesn't it, as well? But they really enjoyed having him around. I think I've got the impression that he really enjoyed being there as well.
Parkinson in to Keogh. Foolish, but Keogh just strokes it, just waits for it, and just pushes it out towards mid-off. Intercepted en route by Azad, running across from extra cover. No run. In he goes. Parkinson really tries to give that a rip, but it's slightly full and turned to mid-wicket by Keogh to Cosgrove, who underarms the ball to Parkinson, who isn't looking, and then ducks, and it goes over his head and runs out to Azad, who has to go and chase it. 106 for 2, just 35 more needed. Parkinson in. Keogh goes back to a slightly wide ball and cuts it away firmly out into the offside, straight to the sweeper, who's out there though, so it is going to be just the one. But Pollard often turns, now you've pointed that out about checking the number of balls left in the over, often turns to umpire Taylor with fingers raised. In goes Parkinson, bowls just outside our stump. Forward goes Wakely, just steering it out backward of point. Going to go for the second. They're going to have to hurry a little bit if the throw had been accurate, but the throw wasn't particularly accurate. The batsman did hurry, but the throw from deep point by Dexter was a bit of a poor one, and it was to the bowler's end, and it led to a lot of scrambling for Parkinson and Wright to cover. 2 taken.
He made Keogh run there. I think it's Wakely's call, wasn't it? He's running towards the wicket-keeper's end, but the throw went to the bowler's end.
The notional danger end,
Yeah.
I suppose. Parkinson, to finish his 10th over, goes in and bowls and just drags his length back, plunges forward a little bit Wakely, blocks the ball out into the offside, picked up by Davis. End of the over. Horton, who was at long off, isn't it, jogging in to have a word with Parkinson. Maybe
Is that 10 in a row he's bowled?
it is. Yeah. He's had a good spell. None for 40. It's been a better spell, or better bowling as a whole, than he produced in the first innings for Callum. It just looks like he needs overs, and the amount that he's bowled in the game suggests that they'll take him down to Cardiff to me. But we'll see. Umpire's having a word. I wonder if they're thinking about the lunch interval. Do we go through? Shall we delay it? Shall we get through? 32 now needed. Still, it's only 10 past, so we're still going to get...
It's quite a little premature, isn't it?
Yeah, 5, at least 5 more overs, you'd have thought, before the actual proper luncheon interval. So every chance will be finished anyway.
You reckon? What's your money on, Richard?
I honestly think they'll finish it. I don't think they'll leave it with 5 or 6 runs to get.
I think you're right. It's Keogh on strike on 10. Wakely 29, 109 for 2. Davis in, and it's defended to that Silly Midon. Are we calling him Silly Midon? I think he is, isn't he? Very straight, short fielder on the leg side, and there's no run.
It'll be interesting to see who Northants do bring in for next season, because the budget's clearly there, judging by Bracewell's presence and Holder. And
well, there were some...
There's been some interesting names. At
big
Northants
earners
this
who
season,
left
yeah.
last year. You think...
budgets.
Yeah, there is definitely some money to spend. And they would obviously have to strengthen the squad if they went up. The last time they were up, it was they found life very difficult in Division 1. Keogh on 10, and thought about a single to extra cover, but decided not to.
You could do with a guaranteed 1,000-run batsman, couldn't you, really? I think,
yeah,
on
and
the whole.
it's not there at the moment, is it?
Not sure in the first division. 1 or 2 might.
Wakely.
But you could do it. Yeah, no, absolutely. 1 or 2 might, but you just wanted somebody who will.
Yes.
You know, who will come
Yeah.
in and save/win a game or two with the sheer weight of runs, and always give the likes of Sanderson and Hutton something to bowl at.
As Keogh gets a thick outside edge, and it's gone away with no third. Is there a third man? There's no third man.
It was very fine.
It was.
A second slip might have been in the game there. Ackerman flung himself to his right at first slip, couldn't quite get his hand to it, but that was a genuine edge for Rob Keogh.
He hasn't looked entirely at ease, Rob Keogh, I don't think, compared to Wakely, who just came in almost from ball 1 and stroked it around. Keogh's just building this innings, isn't he? But that was, as you said, second slip would have taken that one. It was not that far away from Ackerman's right hand, but it's 4 runs to the total, 113 for 2, and we're into the 20s, 28 required. Keogh is 14, Wakely is 29, but it's Keogh who's on strike, and leaves this one alone. That's probably the ball he played at the previous delivery, and took a thick outside edge, but this time with the ball just on and around off stump. He left it probably on height as much as anything, and it's gone through to the wicketkeeper for no run.
Yeah, we're at fine leg, so to speak, for the bowling of Davis to Wakely, so it's quite difficult to see just quite how much the ball is swinging. For the Lancashire game, our last game, we're going to be perfect, but we're not quite behind the bowler's arm or behind the batsman, I'm afraid.
Davis to Keogh, who will take 1, maybe 2. That's gone through extra cover. They will take 2. It's beautifully timed. In the end, the fielder has pulled it back from the boundary and they've run 3. That was initially just a defensive push to extra cover, but Keogh's timed it so sweetly that it's run away and they've taken 3. 116 for 2, 25 needed.
It's horribly quick from a fielding point of view, the outfield. You can be running after the ball and just not gaining on it for quite a long time. Clint Mackay, who played here for 3 years, the Australian, used to call it the ice rink.
Well, yeah, the batsmen almost hesitated to take a single, didn't they, to begin with?
Yeah.
But once it's beaten the ring, I suppose,
Exactly,
it's just gone. And it brings Wakely on to strike on 29. The former Northamptonshire captain, 25 required, 116 for 2. And Wakely picks out the extra cover fielder this time, and there's no run. And that's the over. Davis's 11th. And Northamptonshire closing in, 25 needed.
Rossington, Levy, Proctor, Berg, Bracewell. Plenty of batting to come. No worries at all now for Northamptonshire. Almost across the line. 23 points is a really good return. They've had some good batting points this season, some good batting bonus points, Northants, and an almost maximum point return from a game at this stage of the season. All but priceless. Parkinson will continue from the pavilion end.
Another wicket's fallen at the Oval. Australia 18 for 2.
Oh, how much were England bowled out for?
294 all out.
Okay. Parkinson in to Rob Keogh, who's caught at slip. Parkinson has his man. He went for the drive, got the edge, and was held by Ackerman. So a little bit of probably deserved reward on his bowling today, Callum Parkinson, and that will lift his spirits markedly. Keogh goes, caught Ackerman, bowled Parkinson for 17, Northants 116 for 3.
And that was a very good catch by Ackerman, because although it was into his midriff, it went very fast at him. It was a big drive from Keogh, looking to smash it through extra cover, and it flew at Ackerman extremely quickly. He made it look very straightforward. But the third wicket falls, and Northamptonshire, might just slowed things down a little bit.
Inevitably, won't it? Probably.
Although if it's Levy coming out to bat.
Yeah, he might come out just biff.
If he might just be set on one-day mode and get it done.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what his approach. I just think he always seems to play the same sort of way, doesn't he, Richard Levy's?
Incentive for him as well to enjoy his lunch.
Well, I think he always does that. But it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure he wants to play in the last 2 games, and probably will. You would have thought, but he hasn't been part of the championship side, and
No.
for the most part this season, and he wants to be part of the celebration. It is a huge game next week. Everybody will want to play in it, won't they? And he's having a chat to Wakely. What's he saying? I'll do it in an over. I don't know.
What have you ordered for lunch, skipper, or former skipper?
Yeah.
I think you deserve that, Parkinson.
I agree, and then it'll lift him. And it was a genuine sort of spinner's wicket
was,
as well, wasn't
absolutely.
it? It wasn't handed to him. He was going for the drive, but did turn a little bit. And a decent catch by Ackerman. I wonder if he deserves a second slip on that basis. If it is now starting to turn.
Well, that's right, because there's been turn to the left-hander, isn't it? But that was, of course, the right-hander.
Yeah, off the pitch.
Well bowled.
He's looking at Horton now. Horton isn't looking back at him. Just got the slip. He's got Azad at a shortish, straightish extra cover, but only just can be described as a catching position. Parkinson in to Levy, who is forward, just pushing calmly through point. Point is back 3/4 of the way to the boundary. So Gavin Griffiths is out there now, actually, another of Leicestershire's 12 men who's off the field. Looking around.
I'll leave that one to you to work out.
Yeah, just going through the numbers. In goes Parkinson and bowls, and Wakely is all care and attention as he defends a straight ball. And no run. Rhodes is there at backward point. In goes Parkinson. Bowls, forward Wakely on off stump this time. Rhodes is the fielder at backward point.
Have you worked it out yet?
Just going through the list. Horton's back on. In goes Parkinson. Bowls. Gives it some air, but forward Wakely, who's quite a tall man, getting just about to the pitch of the ball, pushing out into the offside. No run. Dexter, I think, is the man who's off at the moment. Parkinson in, forward goes Wakely. Did pull the length back a little bit, but defended off the pitch, didn't turn on that occasion. But that was a really good over from Callum Parkinson. May indeed. No, it wasn't a wicket maiden, because Levy pushed one out into the covers, didn't he? Yeah, here comes Dexter back on now, just confirming by the time I'd worked it out he was almost back on the pitch, but here he comes. He only was off for an over. So,
it's a spin from the other end as well.
Yeah, only 10 minutes to lunch now, 24 needed. Is it going to be... Oh, George Rhodes is going to have a little bit of a bowl. So this is
Does he bowl much?
something I don't know.
Okay.
It's his debut for Leicester this season.
So tell me all about his bowling then, Richard.
And he's supposed to be an off spinner, George Rhodes. We understand he's a Worcestershire man. He's actually, strictly speaking, he's on loan from Worcestershire until the rest of the season. But he's signed a 3-year contract starting in October with Leicestershire. So he is effectively now made the move full time. And
so he's an all-rounder then, is
he's
he?
He's supposed to be a batting off-spinner. Yeah, a batting all-rounder.
So a Rob Keogh type off-spinner, is he? Or is he?
Well, we shall see. He hasn't bowled that much, hasn't batted that much for Worcestershire either, to be quite honest. He made a first-class career best in the first innings of 61 not out, 4 in the second. But, well, Horton's going to have a little bit of a look at him.
Well, he'll have to get it right to Levy, won't he?
Yeah, a few loose balls. He won't hesitate to put them away.
He will go after them. 117 for 3. Levy then on 1. Wakely on 29. And Levy immediately does hit it towards cover, but it's fielded well. And that's one of those, he didn't really time it, did he? But if the fielder hadn't got a hand to it, that's one which would
have gone
run
for
away.
4. Yeah, Alex Evans did well there. Skinned his left elbow, probably.
But Levy's eyes lit up then, didn't they? As it was full and outside the off stump. This time Levy just nudges it through the covers, and they will take a single. 118 for 3.
It doesn't look to be, on the evidence of just 2 balls, so no evidence at all, particularly grooved sort of off-spinner's action. It's quite quick arm. Rhodes, he almost walks to the crease, and it doesn't look like he's bowled a huge amount today. You know, he doesn't look like a grooved sort of action.
It's not
Rhythmical.
quite. Well, it's not quite declaration bowling either, is it? It's very full. Wakely will take one, maybe two. No, just a single. As a dive from the short mid wicket.
Yeah, well, Davis thought it was going to be hit straight, and he was wrong-footed, like a goalkeeper being sent the wrong way there. Absolutely wrong-footed. He actually hit it inside him.
22 required, 119 for 3. Let's Levy back on strike. There's a short leg, there's a short mid wicket as well for Levy, who likes to hit towards the leg side, as it's just defended by Levy off Rhodes bowling, very straight, and there's no run. If he strays down a leg, I think Levy would go after him. So, he'll inviting leg side boundary, isn't there, here at Grace Road. Rhodes, 2 balls left in this over. Well, it's a little bit uppish that from Levy, wasn't he? Went back in his crease and just tried to turn it squarer, I think, than where it ended up, but well short of mid-on.
Just have stopped a little bit in the pitch.
119 for 3, 22 required. Levy is on strike and defends, and there's no run. That's the over. Tied enough, 2 runs from it. 22 needed, 25 past 12. At what points do you think the umpires say, no, come on, we'll keep going?
I think we'll have our lunch at the moment.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
It's got to be under...
I suspect so. We should get 2 more overs if Parkinson gets through this one quite quickly.
So do you reckon if they get down to, what, 15?
I don't know. Yeah, really don't know what attitude they'll have, really, to be honest.
I reckon it's lunch. I reckon they'll be having lunch.
Parkinson. 11 overs. It's been a really decent spell. Little opportunity for him, really. And now he has got into a nice rhythm at long last. He's going to be bowling to Alex Wakely. In he goes. Wakely is forward, pushing out into the offside. Davis has a little bit of ground to make to his left, and Wakely calls Levy through for a quickish, in as much as Levy ever runs quickly. Single. Moves on to 31, 120 for 3. 21 now needed. Point comes in off the boundary for the new batsman as Parkinson goes in, bowls to Levy. Slightly flat-footed push at that one, off the back foot from Levy, out into the offside, picked up by Dexter, who's the man who had come in from deepish point to a fairly conventional point position. Parkinson in again. Levy goes back and steers it again. No minimal foot movement towards backward point where Rhodes is the fielder.
He just checked himself a little there, didn't he, Levy?
Did. Looks like he wants to get after it. Might just be turning a fraction away from him. Parkinson in. Bowls slightly short this time onto Midland leg. Turned by Levy, but straight to Mark Cosgrove, who's at mid-wicket. Again, no run. Parkinson jogs in and bowls, gives that one a little bit more air, and that one does turn a bit. He looks to turn his wrists on it, push it into the leg side, and it goes in the air just an inch or 2 off the ground for a few feet back towards Parkinson, who is in again. Levy is forward to a full delivery on middle and off stumps. Another very good over from Callum Parkinson. Just the single from it, taken by Wakely early. We are going to have at least 1 more over. Umpire Pollard is on the walkie-talkie to the scorers.
Get the sausages on.
Well,
we're coming in, I reckon.
I don't know, what's he saying? I wonder. We'll see. 1 more over and that will be it, he says, perhaps. Or we'll be out here to the finish. Either way, there's not going to be too much of a delay, one feels, until they
I think it'd have to be a big over here for us to keep going.
Yeah, possibly.
I think they have to take 10 off it. And Wakely's on strike on 31. He's batted really nicely, isn't he, Wakely? Not quite chanceless, we don't think, but it's Rhodes who'll bowl to him. And with a short leg in, Wakely goes forward and defends, and there's no run. Fielded by Cosgrove. Levy waits an on-striker's end. Both batsmen in jumpers out there. It's a very nice warm September afternoon so far, early afternoon. Wakely forward and just steers it to Cosgrove at backward point for a single. 20 needed. 121 for 3.
Do it in singles.
It's a slow torture.
They don't want to. They really don't want to give it away. These
slow torture. Levy on 2 is on strike, and goes for a big shot and gets a big inside edge. It misses leg stump, and that may go all the way to the boundary. Will it? The ball's not quite going to make it. Great chase from the fielder, and Levy went for a big hit into the leg side. Inside edge, missed the leg stump by an inch, and they took 3.
Well, that was very nearly George Rhodes' first wicket for Leicestershire.
It really was.
It was a Yahoo, wasn't it? From
it was.
Levy. It really was.
It was a 2020
slog.
124 for 3. Wakely back on strike. 3 balls left in this over. 17 needed. And it's Rhodes to Wakely, and Wakely will pick up a single. It's a long on, bringing Levy back on strike. 16 required.
Well, it certainly hasn't been filth from Rhodes.
No. No, it hasn't, I agree.
Whether he's a better sort of part-time off-spinner than Ackerman, I don't know really, but having a look, Leicestershire anyway.
Levy on 5 then, 125 for 3, and defends that. Will in fact pick up a single down to that backward point area. It's opened the face. Cosgrove Fields, and it's 15 required. Levy on to 6, Wakely 33.
But as things stand, with Parkinson, Ackerman and Rhodes, they've got 3 spinners at a ground where the ball rarely turns very much.
Well, you can send one down to Wantage Road then for next season. Wakely defends, and that is the over, and that is that lunch.
Now,
it's pretty much bang on 12:30.
Like they're staying out.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, so maybe. Do you think the decision's been made to see it out then?
I can see Billy Taylor on his walkie-talkie, and looks like it, doesn't it?
Well, look, it would make sense.
It would. It would indeed.
How many did they take off that last over? 8?
3 and a couple of singles. Just the 5. There was the slog, wasn't there?
Yeah,
that went down here. That was 3. A couple of singles. 5.
Yeah.
6 maybe.
Is there an announcement then? Do you have an update to do, Richard? Are you okay at all?
No, I think they'll come to me at 12:30.
Okay.
But if they remember,
well,
they usually do.
Just dig me in the ribs then.
You'll hear them in the. Have you not got the?
No, I don't think it's coming through, man.
Yeah. Okay. In goes Parkinson and bowls a good length ball pushed out into the offside by Levy, who is somewhat startled to see Wakely chasing towards him, and responds. And Wakely lifts his bat in applause, having made the run pretty comfortably, to be quite honest. Dexter now retreats to deepish point, and Horton too long off, just 10 yards inside the ropes as Parkinson goes in, bowls to Wakely, who goes back and plays it nice and calmly, firmly, but nice and calmly, off the back foot out towards Dexter, and jogs 1. Just 13 then needed now. Wakely 34, Levy 7. Will Levy have a swing at one? Parkinson is in, bowling. Levy's just pushing it back towards the blonde left arm spinner, fair-haired left arm spinner.
I think Levy fancied the bowling from the other end, didn't he, of Rhodes? He's being much more circumspect against Parkinson.
Who is in, bowling to Levy, who's pushing towards mid-on, but the ever-alert Cosgrove may not be that quick over the ground, but he's got good anticipation still. He scrambles across to his left and makes the stop. I still think he might just be tempted to put one in our direction. We'll see. In goes Parkinson, bowls, and Levy again is careful, pushing it down the pitch.
Toss one up, though, if you were bowling to him now. Having
I'd
seen
be
him go
tempted.
after one.
I'd be tempted, yeah. But he's just got into a nice rhythm, hasn't he, Parkinson,
he has.
now? And he is in again, bowling. Forward goes Levy on middle and off stumps. Pushes the ball out towards Hassanazad.
Well, I think that settles
short extra.
Settles the debate about whether or not they're going to carry on, because we're well past.
We're definitely going through now. Yeah. So just a single off the over. End of the over. Update coming for BBC Radio Leicester. 128, but for 3 now, Northamptonshire. Callum Parkinson has picked up a wicket, that of Rob Keogh. First innings Centurion made only 17 this time round. Went for the drive, the ball turned, took the outside edge, and a neat catch by Colin Ackerman at first slip put Northamptonshire onto 116 for 3. They've moved on to 128 for 3, though. They need now only another 13 to win, but at least the Foxes have picked up a few more wickets this morning. George Rhodes to continue.
It is, sorry Richard. 128 for 3 then. It's Wakely on strike as Rhodes bowls very full. Wakely comes down the pitch and that'll be 4. It's wide of the diving mid-wicket. And to that very long leg side boundary, it just makes it. Pity the fielder at long on having to run, 100 yards, or almost 50 yards maybe, around to gather that and back again. But it's down to single digits, 9 required here in Northamptonshire. And Wakely, I have to say, he's batted very nicely, isn't he, Richard? He said he was in good form in the first innings.
He has been sensible, but he looks to be a man in touch at the moment.
132 for 3. Rhodes returns to bowl, and again it's full, and Wakely hits hard to cover, extra cover. They'll take a single, a slight misfield, or they have to dive to get his hands on that. It's just bobbled up, and it brings Levy back on strike. 8 required then. 133 for 3. 8 runs, which will see Northamptonshire back into those promotion places with just 2 rounds of matches to go. And it's proving to be a good season for them after all. Levy just turns us through square leg. There might be 2 there. There should be 2 there. Indeed there are. Levy rushes back for the second, meaning it's down to a single strike. 6 required. And the season didn't start particularly well. The 2020, well, the 50 over stuff was very poor for Northamptonshire. The 20 over campaign disrupted by rain and was just spluttered, very hot and cold, and we wondered what sort of season it would be for them. Well, it's turning out to be a good one. It could be a very good one. 135 for 3, 6 needed. Levy on strike is on 9 and cuts that to cover, and there's no run. Levy, who has gone after the bowling a little here, could easily have got out to Rhodes in the previous over, and this time will just defend, but spots the chance for a single and comes rushing through. He looks like he wants to get this game over with, Richard Levy. They take a single to mid-on and takes it down to 5. Wakely on strike on 39. Takes guard as Rhodes just tosses himself one more catch. Very straight approach to the wicket for an off-spinner. And with a flattish delivery, Wakely defends, and there's no run. Out to cover, and that's the over. 5 required.
Well, it is customary for the winning side commentator to see his side over the line. So with only just 5 needed, you never quite know. Levy might try and biff it for 6. So I think you better continue into the roads.
I like these conventions that you all have.
There are not many really.
You had to wait quite a while at one point, didn't you?
Yes, I'm not often commentating at the end of games. It's got to be said. But it has happened once or twice.
136 for 3. So it's Levy on strike, isn't it? Having scampered that single. I'm not sure it'll come this over. I don't think they're going after Parkinson, and they're quite happy to pat Parkinson away because he's bowled very tidily. As I'll take a single for the first ball of the over to mid-on, taking it down to just 4 runs required. Levy on to 11, and the ball quickly returned to Parkinson, to Wakely, and it's beaten the outside edge, and an appeal, a definite turn there, wasn't there? It was an orthodox left arm spin beating the outside edge, and the bails were whipped off by Swindles behind the stumps, but I don't think Wakely's back toe left the crease, and there is an easy decision. The bails are returned by the wicketkeeper, but a good bit of bowling from Parkinson. Again, a flat delivery. He's found a bit of rhythm, isn't he? And he's bowling a bit flatter and quicker. I still wonder if to Levy, well, it's all academic, isn't it? But I wonder if to Levy could just toss one up, tempt him into going after one. But to Wakely, he's firing it in, and Wakely will take a single to mid-on, bringing the South African Richard Levy on strike. 2 balls left of this over. 3 ball runs required. Wakely on 40, 138 for 3. Parkinson to Levy, and Levy cuts and misses, looking to get it over with. Richard Levy, that beats the outside edge through to the keeper, and we may yet go into another over. 3 runs required. The field is all in, and Levy turns it to square leg, and a loud shout of no sends Alex Wakely back, and that's the end of the over. 138 for 3. So, Richard, who do you fancy of the 3 of the 4 counties really? The top 4. Well, Lancashire gone, but
Lancashire certainly.
Beyond
yes,
them,
obviously.
who do you fancy going up along with Lancashire?
I think Northampton's form and the way they've played over the last 5 games, they do look a very solid side, and you would back them at Wantage Road to at least get a winning draw against Durham. One feels a fate will be in their hands going into these last 2 games, but I certainly think Northamptonshire will go up. They'll be one of them for sure. I'm pretty sure.
Rhodes to Wakely, and Wakely hits it in the air. Has it been caught? Is it carried?
Bump ball.
No, bump ball.
Hit it hard into the ground.
I'm panicking. The dive from short mid wickets. It was a very good stop, wasn't it?
It was.
It very low.
It was.
But drilled into the ground by Wakely. 138 for 3. Still 3 runs required. Down the pitch Wakely goes, and again hits it straight to mid-on. Maybe he's hungry, Alex Wakely, because he's certainly looking to get it over with 3 needed. Rhodes has gone for 16 so far.
Sussex are taking lunch at Gloucestershire, needing another 50 to win, having lost just 1 wicket.
So Sussex heading for victory there, which will suit Northamptonshire. Wakely defends this time, and there's no run. So it'll move Northamptonshire up to 2nd in the table, is that right? I think it will.
It will.
Above Gloucestershire,
Yes, it will.
won't it?
Yes,
yeah.
it will.
So leapfrogging Durham, who only went past them yesterday with their win at Middlesex, and of course Gloucestershire. So 2nd in the table with 2 matches to go as Wakely cuts, and that is that. It beats the point fielder, and it's raced away for 4, and hands are shaken out there in the middle. Northamptonshire have won here at Wantage Road, and it's a very handsome victory indeed. They've won by 7 wickets. Alex Wakely finishes 40 not out, Richard Levy on 11, and it's, well, a very efficient, very impressive performance by Northamptonshire.
I think that's probably the key word, sort of efficient. It's been really professional. They've looked at a very solid side, and everybody has really played their part in winning this game. Never easy to come to another side's ground and turn them over as necessarily comfortably. They were made to work at times, but they were always pretty much in control. I think Northamptonshire, they've played very, very well, and they've put themselves in an absolutely prime position